Hey, welcome everybody to Chapter 10, Marketing Management. We're starting out here with talking about following topics: learning objectives, understanding why service is a key source of potential differentiation, explain the characteristics that set services apart from physical goods, explain the service profit chain and how it guides marketing management decisions about service, describe the continuum for pure goods to pure services, discuss concepts of service quality and gap analysis, a very, very popular topic. Measure service quality through the use of ServQual, and understand service blueprinting and how it aids marketing managers. Okay. First slide, why service is important. A service is a product in the sense that it represents a bundle of benefits that can satisfy customers' wants and needs, yet it does so without a physical form. We live in a service economy with more than 80% of U.S. jobs in the service-related areas. All domestic job growth is expected to be in the service sector. Service produces 75% of the gross domestic product and are growing as we speak. And jobs represented in the service sector of the economy include such important categories as intellectual property, consulting, hospitality, travel, law, healthcare, education, technology, telecommunications, and entertainment. All are high growth job categories, and many of them extremely lucrative. Service is a differentiator. Focusing on service and enabling employees to effectively deliver service can be one differentiator that is hard for the competition to replicate. And of course, it'll give you the sustainable competitive advantage that we all desire and we all crave for. Great service provides a sustainable competitive advantage, which is, again, as I said before, something that is absolutely paramount. A new dominant logic of marketing: service and the customer experience are at the core of marketing. Customer experience is really important, especially in areas like hospitality. Service is the fundamental basis of exchange. Goods or products historically were the basis of exchange, but now unique skills and competencies services are, such as high-tech jobs that need people that are able to program and do things, create websites and work with social media. Value is co-created by multiple parties, including the company and the customer. Customers interact with the offering in different ways. Value is defined by the customer, always was, always will be, and customers receive value from the experience, not the firm. Back in the day, when everything was production-oriented, value really wasn't looked at too much, and that's why there had to be a quantum shift in the way that marketing is done. If you look at the next one, Exhibit 10.1, the various characteristics of service: intangibility, inseparability, perishability, and variability. Let's look at those. Intangibility is a service cannot be experienced through the physical senses. It cannot be seen, heard, tasted, felt, or smelled by a customer. Goods can easily be experienced through the senses. Strong branding can make a service seem more tangible because it gets into your head. Customers draw conclusions about the tangible aspects they can experience. Inseparability: a customer still can't really experience a service until it actually is consumed. First, the service is sold, then it's produced and consumed at the same time and cannot be separated from its provider. For example, seeing a movie allows for customizations, and also inseparability allows for customization of service. Variability: because it cannot be separated from the provider, a service's quality can only be as good as that of the provider themselves. Employees can be a source of differentiation, removing variability and provide a dependable level of service. It requires investment in training and good management in a culture and the value and in a culture, that values employees. If you don't have a culture that values employees, you will not be successful. Perishability: a service cannot be stored or saved for future use. Perishability is a major potential problem for service providers. Fluctuating demand is related to perishability of services. Slide 11 is a little bit of a mess. It talks about the service profit chain. So I suggest what you do is you open the slide and you go to the access the alternative for slide images. The factors that lead to each other in the slide is as follows. There's internal service quality, which includes workplace design, job design, employee selection and development. This again is Exhibit 10.2. And employee rewards, recognition and tools for service customers. Excuse the baby crying. That's my grandson in the background. I'm babysitting, so that's what you hear. Employee satisfaction, employee retention, and employee productivity. External service value, which includes service concept results from customers. Customer satisfaction, which includes service designed and delivered to meet targeted customer needs. Customer loyalty, which retention, repeat business, and referral, revenue growth, and profitability. Move on to the next slide. The service profit chain, internal service quality. Internal service quality, the first point to make is internal marketing, treating employees as customers and developing systems and benefits that satisfy their needs. This is an essential element of the internal service quality. Customer-centric, firms place the customer at the center of everything, both inside and outside the firm, and have a high degree of customer orientation. And finally, firms focused on internal quality hold a customer mindset, which is so important. Internal service quality, customer-centric firms, they do the following: instill an organization-wide focus on understanding customers' requirements, generate understanding of the marketplace, and disseminate the knowledge to everyone in the firm, and align system capabilities internally so that the organization can respond effectively with innovative, competitively differentiated, satisfaction-generating goods and services. The next slide, satisfy productive and loyal employees. Internal marketing must include the following: competing for talent, which is so important today, and one of the things that is a part of that competition is the ability to work from home. It has become an expected item, and companies that don't allow their employees to work at home are seriously handicapping themselves. Offering an overall vision, training and developing people, stressing teamwork, modeling desired behaviors by managers. There's an old Yiddish saying, the fish stinks from the head. If managers don't do the right thing, then don't expect the employees to do the right thing. Enabling employees to make their own decisions, empowerment, theory Y from management, measuring and rewarding great service performance, and knowing and reacting to employees' needs, which is so important so employees feel cared for, especially the younger millennials expect that. Greater service values for external customers. There's strong evidence that attention to internal service quality and to employee satisfaction, productivity, and retention results in stronger value to external customers of a service. Customers set their expectations based largely on the evidence provided by the marketer before the purchase, and customer expectations management do not set customers' expectations too high so that they cannot be effectively met on a consistent basis, and of course dilute the brand name and hurt business. Customer satisfaction and loyalty. Loyalty sparks high customer retention, low propensity to switch, as well as repeat business and referrals to other people to buy. Customer advocacy, a willingness and ability on part of a customer to participate in communicating the brand message to others, becoming a missionary of the product. Pricing, causes of switching behavior. Number one, pricing, high increases, unfair, deceptive pricing. And it's going to be kind of hard now with the with the supply chain issues that we're having with pricing. Inconvenience, location, hours, wait time, core service failure, service mistakes, billing errors, service catastrophe, service encounter failures, uncaring, impolite, unresponsive, and unknowledgeable people working the front desk. Definitely turn off. And response to service failure, negative or no or reluctant response. Another cause, more causes of switching behavior: competition, found better service, ethical problems, cheating, hard selling, safety concerns, conflict of interest. All these are issues that will cause people to switch, and involuntary switching, customers moved or provider closed, which unfortunately not always can be controlled. The next slide, Exhibit 10.4, speaks about focusing on the most satisfied customers. Again, if you click on the access to text alternative, basically it tells you, and this is a depiction of the slide, so if you want to look at the slide, the graph, as I speak, that'll be very helpful. The horizontal axis ranges from 1 as extremely dissatisfied through 5 as very satisfied. The vertical axis ranges from 20 to 100 in increments of 20 in percentage. The data is as follows. The curve increases from 1, extremely dissatisfied, as terrorist, to 5, very satisfied, as apostle, through the zone of defection and zone of indifference. Note all data is approximate. So if you look back at the slide, you'll get a better look at what I'm talking about. Again, you have gradations from terrorist, really bad person, to apostle, really, what is considered to be a good person. And of course, we go from 1 through 5, from extremely dissatisfied all the way up to very satisfied. And you have the zone of defection, where people will move, and that's where you want to stay away from. Next, another slide with a graph, continual evaluation of different types of offerings. Again, we're going to go to the text alternative, but keep your focus on the graph as I speak. The data is as follows: high in search qualities in most goods. It includes clothing, jewelry, furniture, houses, and automobiles. High in experience qualities, intersections between most goods and most services on the graph. It includes restaurants, meals, vacations, haircuts, and childcare. High in credence qualities, most services. It includes television, repair, legal services, root canal, auto repair, and medical diagnosis. All depends on how much credence you give the person doing these things. Obviously, you want somebody competent and highly skilled. We move on. Service attributes. We have the search attributes, experience attributes, and credence, which we spoke about. Service quality represents a formalization of the measurement of customer expectations of a service compared to their perceptions of actual service performance. Service encounter is the period of interaction, whether in person, by phone, or electronically. Customer delight, exceeding expectations, often leads to customer loyalty. Moment of truth is the face-to-face time between customer and provider when most customer judgments take place. Gap analysis 1 and 2. In Gap 1, management's perception of customer service expectations versus actual customer expectations of service. And Gap 2, management's perception of customer service expectations versus the actual service. And there you see the gap. And again, if you look at the text alternative, it says that two potential gaps are important to analyze, as mentioned before. Gap 1 occurs first. This is the gap between management's perceptions of customer service expectations versus the actual customer's expectation of service. Gap 2 occurs later. This gap is between management's perceptions of the customer service expectations versus the actual service quality specifications that are developed. And the gap represents where management went wrong. We go back to the next slide. Gap analysis 3, 4, and 5. Gap 3 is the actual service quality specifications versus actual service delivery. Gap 4 is the actual service delivery versus what the firm communicates it delivers. And again, there's a big gap with that. You're going to have a lot of problems with credence. And Gap 5 is perceived service by customers versus actual customer expectations of the service. This is pretty straightforward. It's a straight read. You don't have to actually, I think, access the text. It's pretty much there on the slide. Service recovery and failure. Gap 3 addresses whether the service was delivered as intended. Service failure is defined when the service isn't delivered as promised, provides an opportunity for service recovery. When properly handled, recovery doesn't necessarily impact customer satisfaction, loyalty, or retention. If it's done quickly, like anything, there's an issue, you solve it as soon as you can. Exhibit 10.6, gap model of service quality. Again, we're going to look at the text alternatives. Please look at the actual slide as I speak. That is as follows. We look at the consumer. Vis-a-vis word of mouth communications with personal needs and past experiences leads to expected service. The Gap 5 exists between expected and perceived service. Within the realm of the marketer, the management perception of consumer expectation leads to translation of the perceptions into service quality specifications, while finally leading to service delivery, including pre and post contacts. Gap 4 exists between service delivery, including pre and post contacts, and external communications to the consumers. The Gap 3 exists between service delivery, including pre and post contacts, and translation of perceptions into service quality specifications. The Gap 2 exists between translation of perceptions into service quality specifications and management perceptions of consumer expectations. The Gap 1 exists between management's perceptions of consumer expectations and expected service. Service quality, dimensions of service quality. We spoke about tangibles, empathy, feeling for other people's assurance, assuring people, responsiveness, and reliability. These are the 5 dimensions of service quality. ServQual is a survey instrument that reflects the dimensions of service quality. Companies track results over time to measure improvement or decline. See Exhibit 10.10 for an example. Service blueprints, what are those? These are items that map out a complete pictorial design and flow chart of all the activities from the first customer contact to the actual delivery of the service. And here's an example of one in 10.11. You can look at it yourself. It's pretty straightforward. Service blueprints, concept borrowed from the manufacturing that maps out a pictorial design and flow chart from first point of customer contact through the last in each service delivery experience. Lines of visibility divide what the customer sees and doesn't see. For example, have a front stage and a backstage. Helps identify bottlenecks where there's problems with production or getting the stuff out. Acts as a training device for employees and gives managers a tool for employee evaluations. Bottlenecks are always important to figure out, and this is especially true in production, what's causing things to slow down. In service, why isn't the food coming from the kitchen to the final customer quickly? And that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining. Again, please look at the slides on your own. The bottom of each of the slides that I put up on Canvas have more annotation and more explanation. Of course, refer to your textbook for a more complete understanding of the concepts outlined here. Have an amazing day and be well.